If you build a deck top down, you might pick a couple of your favorite cards that you think you can build the deck around. Ancient Coil, Superior Symbiote, maybe something like that, and you build a deck that way. So we'll start by doing that. Why don't we pick out a few cards that I have not built decks around? And just a warning, I have not tested these decks that I'm building, so they might not work even a little bit. But we're gonna look for some card that we can build a deck around that I have not built a deck around yet. We're gonna build a deck around Kung Ji, the Glorious Strategist. So he's 1 purity, so we have a lot of leeway here, and this card gives us the kind of deck we want to build already. And another card I haven't used, I think this card's so bad, but Gohan. So let's try doing double purity Overseers and 1 purity into Descendants. So this is, once again, top down. So call it Dragons, Overseers, top down deck. And we're boop, boop, boop. Turn off that, make this easy. So in the command zone, we're putting in Gohan. We're also gonna put in my boy Kung Ji, and then we have 1 Overseer slot. Z Ascended is a possibility. Cassiel, possibility. So now what you're seeing right now is I've picked out these 2 cards, right, as my main top-down deck construction. The rest of the deck, I'm going to try to put in cards that cater to the cards that are at the top. So another thing that we have to keep in mind is, like I said, there's different kinds of decks. So at this point, I've already chosen where I'm building the deck around, but I need to keep in mind what kind of strategy I'm going to be using. And because we're looking at 2 highly defensive cards, and Kung Ji, the way he is going to work as a win con is very slow and morale based, we're looking at a control deck because it's low threat and prolongs the game. And is it going to be a combo or is it going to be a good stuff deck? We're looking at something that we're trying to build around Kung Ji, so it's got synergy, but I don't think it's quite a combo deck, because the way I am seeing it, the way I'm imagining this deck being, it's not gonna quite anyways, it's not gonna quite be something that is gonna fall apart if Kung Ji dies. We're gonna try to build a deck that is gonna be able to keep going without him. Man, we have a few choices here for a morale-based Overseers Dragons deck, actually. So I feel like Melosia, I'm going to explain why I'm not going to put it in the command zone, even though I'm thinking about it. Because I'm playing a control deck, it's going to be, I'm going to try to stabilize, keep the aggro decks suppressed before I really start moving in aggressively to push for the win. I'm just trying to reduce the amount of threat they have. So Melosia is a high threat card, which is, you might say, oh, well, why wouldn't you want high threats all the time? The reason is it's not higher threat than the decks I'm going to be playing against. And if it's Melosia versus a triple Flamed On deck, the triple Flamed On deck will win. However, if the triple Flamed On deck is going to have to deal with the most intense defense of all time, then Melosia could come out later in the game and kind of clean up. So we're going to just start throwing in good stuff cards because, like I said, we're doing synergy, but not combo. So we're looking somewhere between good stuff and combo. So Chef is one of my favorite Dragons cards because if he doesn't die, and that's a huge if, he just so much value. And Echo of the Battlefield, this is a very good control card, and it gives you a huge tempo that you might otherwise miss out on in the control decks, because ordinarily in the control decks, one problem you're going to have is you're struggling to control the game and put out threats at the same time because your deck is slow. But with Echo of the Battlefield, you can have something that's going to defend you automatically. All right, now Glorious Warrior, this is a 2-for-1 for us because he's a good stuff card because his 10 power, 12 health, super strong for his stats. He's the strongest DoD card as far as like just bodies go, in my opinion. And he also gives us the synergy of the 5 morale a turn. Now, in the 3-drop slot, again, we have Infected Monk, another extremely good stuff card, and this doesn't cater to our ultimate strategy, but what it does do is it serves the same kind of function as Echo of the Battlefield. It lets us stall a little longer so that we can get out our actual win conditions. Inspiring Soldier, I think it's generally worse than Glorious Warrior, but we're probably gonna end up using it because, you know, it does the same thing, even if the stats are worse. All right, Spirit of the Ancient Guardians. I feel like this, in the kind of deck that we're using, is a must-have. It can very well take care of some kind of big flyer that I might not be able to take care of otherwise. All right, moving on. So, Ward on the Wall, you might say, oh, well, this looks exactly like what you want, but his stats are so bad. His stats are terrible, dude. So I think we're going to pass on that. Dowdy's Protection, very, very real possibility, but we'll think about it. We're going to move through everything and come back if we have to. Lin Bao's Will. Now, this is an interesting one. This card is aggressive and it's combo-y because I have to be hitting all their morale in multiple places, multiple instances in one turn for this to really, really pack a punch. And it's the reason why I say this card's aggressive, even though it doesn't do damage, is because it's effectively doing direct. I'm contradicting myself here, but direct damage because this directly reduces the amount of health my opponent has left. Even though it's really morale, the point is I'm not killing my opponent with damage. This card is doing basically the direct form of damage that I would ordinarily do. We're going to think about this, but as far as a control deck goes, this card doesn't actually control the game because during the first 6 or so turns, this card will not impact the game in any kind of real way. At best, let's say I play it sometime turn 1 through 6, and it loses them 20 morale. That would be really good. But if they don't die from that and I can't stall until I get the rest of their morale down, then it didn't matter. So that's why it's not going right in. This is a different kind of, possibly for a different kind of deck than what we're doing. Yuan-Shi's Wrath, that might be the kind of card we want, because that stalls a lot. Now let's take a look through here. The Overseers, unfortunately, don't actually have that many control cards. And we do have this as a morale option, but Melosia actually has a 13 morale cost herself, and she's got very poor stats, so I don't know. Rescue Angel, very defensive, but 15 or less health? Ooh, I don't want to be at 15 or less health, just in general. Zealous Persecutor. Zealous Protector. That's exactly what we want. Banish, removal, we definitely want that. Denial of Advancement is super, super, super weak. We don't want that. Heaven's Assistance can help us stall for a very long time. It also combos with Chef, because we're going to be getting lots of stats everywhere. Oppress, I think, is really, it's not great, and we're running X in our command zone so that we don't have to do that. Box is great for stalling. It's also just great in general. For those of you who doubt the box is the way to go. So we've got 8 cards left that we can put in. We're taking a look through neutral. I can't promise I will find anything. We do have Defense Golem. It's a possibility. We could put in the Defense Golem balance synergy there. Shikana, possibility. Wealthy Noble, real possibility. Zuza, possibility. One thing that we're definitely going to put in, I might put in Recycle, but we're definitely putting in the Calamity. That card is really dumb, in my opinion, but it's also really good. So, 4 more cards. Tough decisions, tough decisions. Harbinger's alright. Or Harbinger, whatever you prefer. I could put in an extra Kung Ji or 2. I wish Great Wall of Jinhai was 1 purity. Oh, it is. I just don't own any. Well, that's unfortunate, but what can you do? Let's see. Could always go with Invincible Defender. So one weakness we have right now is we don't have many flyers. We're also not taking advantage of Gohan's effect very much, and he is so bad. That's why I've never built a deck around him before. Actually, I think he is terrible. I think he is awful, dude. But we're here to build a deck around him. So why don't we get some more angels up in this? We'll put in 2 Z's. That gives us a late game. This is a fallback win condition. If Morel's not doing it, I don't like that Agent Coil. Could put in another X. Still don't have any real flyers. Rescue Angel, yeah. Why not? Why not? Part of the point of this, so I'm trying to demonstrate deck building, but I'm also trying to, build a deck that I have never built before. And Rescue Angel is a card that I've never used before. So anyways, now that I've picked out all the cards, we're going to quickly go over my reasoning behind everything, and hopefully this will help you see into what kind of deck you're going to build. So top down deck building. So we've got our strategy, which is we're trying to win by morale. We're trying to take advantage of Kung Ji. In the command zone to help support Kung Ji, we've got Gohan, because he's very defensive, but also because I wanted to take advantage of this purity type, and because I just wanted to try using the card. Sometimes when you build a deck, it's just I'd like to try a card, right? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And X we actually have in here to support this strategy, because if I get my chefs going, then and X out, there's a chance that my opponent's just not going to be able to bust through my defenses at all, and they're just going to be basically like slapping, like, I don't know, wet noodles all over my 20 health dudes, and they'll that's that. All right, chef, we're trying to charge it up, trying to get some health up in this. Infected monk, he stalls. Inspiring soldier, it's gonna help slowly kill them. Echo the battlefield stalls. Z ascended, it's a backup win con, it produces more blockers as well. Spirit of the Ancient Guardians can take out some very high pressure cards that we might not otherwise be able to take out. Glorious Warrior, very good stats, so it's good defensively, but also helps slowly win the game. Zealous Protector, it's a blocker, we're trying to block, that's the whole Kung Ji thing. Rescue Angel, same business. Recycle we have in there just to filter cards that we might need in the future back into our deck, or just to give us something to dump our resources into. Calamity is basically a giant middle finger to anyone who actually set up a board. Sleepers in particular, I think. Yuan-Shi's Wrath kills a bunch of little guys, help us against Flame Dawn. Banish kills a high priority target permanently, hopefully. Heaven's Assistance, more blockers, and we've got the mysterious boxes. Now, one thing I would do, which I think is very relevant right now, is if I look at my curve, you can see that my only real low cost cards are Chef, who can't really defend because I'm trying to, you know, keep him alive, and Box, which it goes out for 1 mana, doesn't really do anything, and Recycle hardly counts. So we actually have a very, very, very poor early game. Very poor, even for a control deck. So I may consider looking through here. I can put in something like Invincible Defender or Intimidating Monk to cover that hole. We're gonna pull out, let's see. We're gonna pull out Inspiring Soldier, I think. Could be risky. We're gonna put in 3 of those guys. And you might be wondering, well, why don't I just put in both? The answer is, I'm trying to keep 40 cards. This is another thing, another big point. If you have a smaller deck size, the statistics behind it will be like, let's say I want to draw certain cards every game. The less cards I have in my deck total, the greater likelihood I will draw the specific card I'm looking for. Whereas if my deck is 8,000 cards, the odds of me drawing Calamity at all are very low. The only advantage to having a larger deck is if you draw your entire deck, you won't start losing morale. If you draw your entire deck in this game, you start losing morale. But that's not gonna happen unless your opponent's playing a deck like a mill deck where they're just trying to get you to do that. It's unlikely. Alright, so we've got the Invincible Defenders in there. I might also put in the Intimidating Monks. Maybe. But for now, we'll leave this as is, and we're going to build another deck.